August 27, 2025, began as a typical school day in Minneapolis. In the Kingfield neighborhood on the city's south side, children hurried to Annunciation Catholic School. Morning service, as always, brought elementary school students and their teachers to the chapel adjacent to the school. The air was thick with the scent of candles and old wood. Light filtered through stained glass windows, painting the walls soft shades of blue and red. Boys and girls in white shirts and dark pants sat on benches. Teachers spoke in hushed tones to keep the noisiest ones seated. For some, it was their first year of school, and their eyes shone with curiosity and a little excitement. From the outside, the building looked calm. The silence of the street was broken only by the noise of cars passing by. The parents had already left for work. Many had not even returned home when the tragedy began. No one guessed that in just a few minutes, the silence of prayer would be cut by machine gun fire, and the church would turn into a place of horror. To understand the scale of the tragedy, we need to talk about the man who created this nightmare. Robin Westman was born on June 17, 2002 in Minnesota. Her birth name was Robert. She grew up in a family that tried to provide the children with everything they needed. But from an early age, Robert's character showed signs of isolation. He was not a child surrounded by friends. On the contrary, he often sat on the sidelines, lost in his thoughts. He spent his first school years at Annunciation Catholic School. There, Robert was an ordinary student. He wore a uniform, went to services, and was an average student. But even in these years, his classmates remembered him as silent and a little strange. In his teenage years, Robert began to change. After transferring to other schools, including St. Thomas Academy, a military academy for boys, his alienation only increased. Teachers sometimes noticed signs of self-harm. There were cuts on his hands. They understood that the teenager was suffering, but no one seriously dealt with it. In 2019, he officially changed his name, becoming Robin, and began to live as a woman. Many considered this her attempt to find herself, to find harmony. But instead of relief, new torments came. In her diaries, Robin wrote, "I am not a woman. I am not a man. I am nothing. I am a monster." In high school, she was increasingly drawn to darker topics. Classmates said that Robin was fascinated by stories of mass murderers and could joke around with a Nazi salute. At the time, it seemed like a simple provocation, but now it's obvious. She lived these thoughts. Over time, her condition worsened. She wrote about hatred for the church, about feeling rejected. She said that the world had spoiled her, that it was to blame for her suffering. These thoughts became obsessive, and gradually a plan formed in her head. Robin's diaries revealed the hell she had been living in for the last few years. The pages were filled with confessions of depression and suicidal thoughts. She wrote that she felt like she was dying every day, that a disease was growing in her body. Sometimes she called it soul cancer. Other entries expressed outright hatred for the world. "I want to watch them suffer. Children need to know what pain is." To the outside world, she remained quiet and unnoticed. Neighbors remembered her as a withdrawn woman who rarely left her home. No one saw her as a threat, but in her head, she was in constant dialogue with her inner demons. She admired previous mass murderers, called them by name, studied the details of their crimes. For her, this became a source of inspiration. In the summer of 2025, Robin rented a small house in the suburbs of St. Louis Park. To her neighbors, it seemed completely ordinary, a regular rental, a quiet tenant who rarely went outside. No one could have imagined that inside this house, step by step, a plan for a bloody attack was being born. On the table in her room lay stacks of papers covered in tiny handwriting. Later, investigators would call them final confessions. In these notes, Robin opened her soul and talked about the thoughts that had been eating away at her from the inside for years. In one letter to her family, she wrote, "It pains me to bring you this storm of chaos, but I can no longer live in this darkness. I feel sick, like a cancer is eating me from the inside. I am tired of this world and of myself. I am leaving, but I want everyone to feel the pain that I feel." Other diary entries included lines full of hatred and despair. "The children are too happy. Their laughter irritates me. Let them know what fear is. I am neither a woman nor a man. I am a shadow. I am a monster created by this world. If I am a monster, then let me play my part." Some pages were written like a manifesto. In them, Robin mentioned the names of other mass murderers, as if she wanted to put herself in the same category. She wrote that the world didn't understand her, that society drove her into a corner, and that the only way to leave a memory of herself was through blood. But it was her videos that Robin managed to upload to the internet shortly before the tragedy that attracted special attention. There were at least 2 videos, one about 10 minutes long, the second almost 20. In these videos, Robin sat in her room, in front of a camera, and gave a strange, dark monologue. She showed weapons, a rifle, a pistol, magazines with inscriptions like "Death to the Children" and "Watch them suffer." In one video, she literally said, "I'm going there to take lives. It's my choice. I know I'm going to die, and that's what I want." In another video, she held up sketches of a church, schematic plans of the building, windows, benches. She showed them to the camera as if rehearsing a crime. In these videos, Robin mentioned the names of other mass murderers, calling them those who left a mark. She said her goal was to go down in history and that her gun would be the voice of hate. YouTube later quickly removed the recordings, but investigators retained copies. According to them, it was these videos that finally showed that the attack was not spontaneous. Robin had been methodically preparing, deliberately creating a last word in which she revealed her distorted view of the world. All this showed that the tragedy was not a sudden impulse. Robin had prepared for it for a long time, methodically, and each line in her diaries seemed to bring the moment closer when her thoughts would become reality. On that fateful day, August 27, 2025, Annunciation School gathered students and teachers for their usual morning service. Light through the stained glass windows played on the walls, the soft whisper of prayers mixed with children's laughter. But all this was only a lull before the nightmare that broke out suddenly and devastatingly. Suddenly, the atmosphere changed. The first bullet flew through the church window. In an instant, the fabulous light of the stained glass windows was replaced by chaos, screams, running, the sound of broken glass. The panic was increased by the students. Some fell to the floor, some tried to hide behind the open benches. In the chaos, 3 students showed courage and bravery. The older students, using the buddy system, rushed to protect the younger ones, pinning them to the floor and covering them with their bodies. It was their actions, as police later acknowledged, that saved many, significantly reducing the number of victims and injuries. But despite the heroism, tragedy struck. 2 children died. Their names, which soon spread throughout the city, will forever be associated with this day. 8-year-old Fletcher Merkel loved to fish and help in the kitchen. His family remembered the boy as kind, dreamy, full of curiosity. Their hearts were broken by the loss. His father, Jesse Merkel, said, "Yesterday, some coward took Fletcher from us. We will never again be able to hug him, talk to him, play with him, watch him grow up." 10-year-old Harper Moyski was a bright, cheerful girl who was known for her infectious laugh and kindness to others. Her parents left a touching statement: "Our hearts are broken not only as parents, but as a family. It is especially hard for the sister who always admired Harper. We are all devastated. There are no words to describe our pain." The first minutes after the shooting turned out to be decisive. 2 children were killed immediately, and 18 more people, most of them children, were injured. According to police, 15 younger school children and several elderly parishioners were among the injured. The sirens of police cars and the screeching of ambulances immediately filled the neighborhood. Parents rushed around the yard, not understanding where their children were. Teachers tried to lead children out through emergency exits, shouting, "Get down on the floor," and "Don't look out." But many children had already heard shots in all directions. They could not forget them for a second. The police arrive almost instantly. Sirens can be heard a block away, but even a few minutes prove deadly. As the officers enter the area, Robin knows this is the end. She retreats to the parking lot. There, between the cars, she makes her final choice. She raises the gun to herself and fires. It's all over in an instant. The schoolyard erupts into chaos. Parents rush to the building, shouting their children's names. Police officers usher the children out through the back doors, telling them to close their eyes. But who can forget those sounds? The smashing of glass, the smell of gunpowder, the shouts of classmates. A few hours later, flowers and toys begin to arrive at the school. Candles appear on the steps. Minneapolis is plunged into mourning. The news flies around the world. Another mass shooting in the United States. But this time, among the most defenseless.
All units, you are heading to Minneapolis, mutual aid, on a shooting.
Any troopers arriving, we just need medical. Bring all the guys that you have.
We've got at least 4 criticals in the inside, the rest outside of the church. A couple DOAs, but at least 20 other patients.
We have 2 gunshot wounds, 2 patients with gunshot wounds to their head in front. There's also a critical patient in the rear of the church.
Transporting 1 10-year-old male, red trauma, gunshot wound to the head. Minneapolis children. He is third vitally stable, possibly was just grazed.
One suspect with a gunshot wound to the head, has a rifle and shotgun. He's down right now.
The investigation revealed something terrible. The tragedy could have been stopped. Teachers had seen alarming signs back in her school years. Classmates told her about dark notes. Even neighbors recalled her oddities, but no one paid any attention to it. Why? Why was everything ignored? Why were the alarming signs not a reason to intervene? These questions remained unanswered. The story of Robin Westman is the story of the fall of a person who spent her life fighting with herself and ultimately chose the path of hatred. She was a child of this same school. She sat on the same benches as her future victims, but instead of leaving the past, she returned there to take lives. Today, flowers and toys stand outside the walls of Annunciation. People come there to pray. The children who survived will remember this for the rest of their lives. Two children, Fletcher Merkel and Harper Moyski, will never come home again. Their laughter will no longer echo in the school hallways. Their families are left with a void that can never be filled. But today, we can do one thing: remember them. Memory is something stronger than death. As long as we remember the names of Fletcher and Harper, as long as we say them out loud, they live on. In our hearts, in our words, in our fond memories. We honor the memory of the innocent children who died that day. We honor the courage of the teachers and students who saved others, and we must speak about it so that something like this does not happen again. If you want as many people as possible to hear this story and remember the victims, support this video with a like, and be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss new stories that we will tell together. And in the comments, write, what, in your opinion, should have been done to stop the tragedy? Your opinion really matters.